Welcome, Bear Nation. We are here at Buffalo Wild Wings for the UPIKE Coaches Show. I'm Bradley Yoder. Joining me today is our head football coach, Corey Phipps. Coach, let's talk a little bit about last week with Cumberland's. Obviously it was a tough matchup, but kind of looking forward to Faulkner this week. Let's kind of recap last game.
Yeah, what a tough game. Shan Housekeeper's ball club is always really physical, really tough. We came out and thought we had a great game plan, but just didn't execute it. When you live by the sword, you die by the sword. When you live by the quarterback, you die by the quarterback a little bit. We felt like if we could have had a few throws back early, we could have maybe changed the energy and just direction of the ball game, but just didn't get that done. But felt like the guys fought hard till the end and really played a physical ball club that we may not see another team quite that physical. And I think University of Cumberland's does a great job. And it was so physical. We had a couple really gruesome injuries and prayed for those guys and got them back home and trying to nurse them back to health. But I thought it was a really classy move today. Got a phone call from Shan Housekeeper there, the head coach at UC, and he was checking on those guys by name, knew their injury, knew exactly who they were through the duration of their career, and just said he hated to see that. So, it is part of the game that things like that happen. But we've been pretty fortunate up to this point to not have many of those things over the past 2 or 3 years. So, we just gotta regroup, and we had a great week of practice. We really recommitted to the principles and the things that we thought were an issue, that had to be fixed. And, I can tell you that it's just one of those things that you gotta teach guys that this is part of the process.
Yeah.
That, we had 2 really hard-fought football games, and I thought they, maybe thought we were going to roll out and be right in the mix again. But if you don't have a great week of practice, it's hard to transition that to Saturdays. And so I thought it was a good learning moment for us. And, unfortunately it came at a little bit of embarrassment. That was one of the losses that I'd like to have back, in terms of those things. But, I don't love these guys any less. I told them jokingly, I may not love you any more right now, but I don't love you any less. And we had a really good talk, and we talked about that, what we're offering here at this level is so much different than the NIL transfer portal Division I model. We're still teaching principles that are going to be applicable for these guys for the rest of their lives to be strong community members and family members, and that we got to regroup. And if the worst thing that happens to you is lose a football game, you're probably doing pretty good. There's a lot of people who are struggling and suffering in a lot of other ways, and we get an opportunity to reinvent ourselves every week. And so, that's what we've done this week. We had a great week of practice. Monday was off. Tuesday was a really good spirited practice, probably the best one we've had this year. And then Wednesday we flipped around, went Wednesday morning with a home soccer match with our men's team. So didn't have access to the field. So, man, we were bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. Nobody was late or missed. They were out there at 5:45 a.m. with their toes on the line, ready for flex. And that was a big deal. And those are the things you want out of your guys. And Dre Stafford, who spoke on the show last week, he's one of the guys that had one of those really tough injuries. But I look back and I see who Dre is, when we show up here and who he is now. Man, we're doing some positive things. I've had a few of those wins this week where I can hear the guys saying the right things, not just on the football field, but different facets of their academic life and professional and personal life, that the things that the coaches and the university and the UPIKE experience are teaching, they're doing a good job of, soaking that in and really letting it permeate into the rest of their lives. And, so sometimes you got to take those moral victories and find those things. And, we got to make the stars line up a little bit for us this week. But, I spent 4 years at Faulkner as offensive coordinator, and we're really good years there. My mom and daddy lived down there for a while, and have got some good memories of my kids running around on that turf field. So it's always a little bit of a homecoming to go down there. And I won't lie, there's pretty good food in Montgomery, Alabama.
There you go. So speaking of the food, I know you guys got a pretty big meal Friday night down there. You already have it set up, right?
Yeah, so we always go down and Typically it's later in the season when we play Faulkner and we try to do some things like the Legacy Museum or, go to, the Pettus Bridge or some of those, civil rights, things that are really, concrete moments in American history and take the guys to those things. This year, we're going to treat it a little bit more like a business trip, but we always eat at my favorite restaurant in the entire world. It's a little kind of meat and three place in an old strip mall from the 1930s in an old historic neighborhood. You got to go through the projects in the hood to get there, and the guys are always like, "Where are we going, Coach?" And they're like, "Man, Coach, this place ain't going to be no good." But it's unbelievable food. Dirk and his daughter, who I've known a long time, hook us up. So it's I told the guys, man, you can't saddle up and eat too much, though, guys. That's pretty heavy Southern food. So Lee Kirkland, the last time we were down there, Xavier Malone was playing so well, and Lee just, man, he crushed it. I don't know how many plates he ate.
He went to town on
yeah.
it.
So the next day when Xavier got banged up and he had to go in, he said, "Coach, man, this year I'm eating one plate." I said, yeah, and it better be half a plate. So, no, that's good. And a little shout-out to Dirk's Filet and Vine there in Old Cloverdale, Montgomery, Alabama. We appreciate you.
Good. All right. Well, so this week we're going to have Tyrese Christian, and we've got Javion Shepard joining us. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about Tyrese and Javion?
Yeah, Tyrese Christian's a kid that recruited us a little bit here. He was a Kentucky Christian with us, was a cousin of a guy that we had on the squad there. And, when we came down here, he was willing to sit out a year because of the interconference transfer rules at the time. And, he's been student body president here. He's been active in every facet of campus. He's an unbelievable young man, very, sharp and articulate, well-spoken dude who's going to make a lot of money talking somebody out of some money because he can sell it now. And so he's kind of bought his time as Alex Sanders was in the program, and even this year a little bit. And now he's getting an opportunity. He had 2 touchdowns in this last game running the ball, and he's a guy that can catch it out of the backfield. He's a guy that can run it inside-outside zone game, power game. A lot of the things we do, gap scheme and good in pass protection, catching the ball. But most of all, it always comes back to quality human being. So, and then Javi is a senior corner, California kid who came to us from Contra Costa Junior College and out there in Richmond, California. So if you've ever seen Coach Carter, that San Pablo Richmond area, that's the area, the San Francisco Bay Area he's from. Been a real dynamic guy on campus, in the community, go-to guy, accountable, and really started to step up his game here in his senior year, playing defensive back for us, that corner position. So, and once again, 2 more guys that you can be proud of as a UPIKE alum, 2 more guys you can be proud of as a coach and a faculty and staff member here. So, like I said, we love our guys. We believe in them through thick and thin, and that's what part of being a brotherhood and a family and a culture is about. Is when you got a strong culture, when things don't quite go your way, you can regroup, reevaluate, reassess things, and get them back on top. And these 2 guys are the reason we're going to get back on top.
No, and like you said, the culture, it's not just these 2, but it's the whole team. You've got a bunch of really good guys that, they're active in the community with community service and outreach programs. They do a really good job academically on campus and getting involved in, campus organizations. So it's when you talk about culture, you've got the right people, on the bus. You've got the right people working with you, and when you do that, you have a chance to, kind of right the ship and get things moving in the right direction.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I appreciate you saying that. And that's what we believe. That's what our kids believe. It's what our coaches believe. It's what our faculty and staff believe here. And we're going to keep trucking and keep putting one foot in front of the other. And these 2 guys you're going to get to visit with are going to be a big part of that.
All right. Well, we'll be right back after a couple messages from our sponsors, and we'll get to hear from Tyrese and Javion. All right, welcome back to the UPIKE Coaches Show. I'm Bradley Yoder. I'm being joined right now by senior running back Tyrese Christian. Tyrese, welcome to the show.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah. Hey, so, let's talk a little bit about your journey to UPIKE. Coach Phipps talked a little bit about it where you transferred in from KCU and had to sit out a year. What was kind of that process like for you?
So that process that actually got me into KCU. Before that, I had went to another JUCO. It was Iowa Western, where I was trying to play football at, but I didn't get a chance. So I fell in love with school more than anything, and so just having that, I just stayed patient and trusting God. And so when God gave my cousin an opportunity, who used to go here too, his name was Rashad Brown. He played receiver here as well. Opened up the gate for me to come over to KCU. I went with him. Then Phipps and them, they gave me that call, and then I sat out for a year. But I wound up coming over there as the H. But then I got switched to running back because two of our starters had kind of got hurt, and I was just an athlete at the time that can kind of do that. And so that's when my position switched over, and I was at KCU.
Okay. Yeah. So Coach Phipps talked a little bit about your versatility, how you can catch the ball out of the backfield. And, a lot of that has to do with, being an H before, right?
Yes, sir.
That versatility, being able to run it, being able to catch it.
Yeah.
Just get into open space, right?
Yes, sir.
There we go. Well, you had a big game last week. You had 2 touchdowns at Cumberland's. That was a career high for you. Talk a little bit about that. Talk a little bit about what kind of plays you guys are running to get you in those positions and how you're able to take advantage of it.
To me personally, I let my line know all the time. We in the trenches together. That's what I like to call them when we between the tackles. It's called the trenches. Well, if you just block for me, you make a hole. I do everything else myself. That's all I need. And they did a little bit of that, and I worked for the rest of the way. And I think it just comes to my drive and me wanting it more. I feel like the 5 and in, that's easy money to me. I feel like that should be nothing but bacon and cheese. That's how I feel about it.
There you go. There you go. Coach Haynes will like that one.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah. So, we talked about your ability to kind of run it, your ability to catch it. Last year you had 37 rushes, you had 17 receptions. This year you've had a couple big games with running the ball, catching the ball. And you talked about the position change, but what do you think kind of lends itself to your versatility, being able to do different things within the offense? How does the offense set you up to take advantage of your skills?
It sets me up because in ways, if we go into empty, it's certain things I feel as if certain linebackers can't guard me. I feel like it exploits our offense a lot. We have a lot of tough receivers as well, so you have everybody in open space. It's hard to try to account for everyone. You have to have somebody that's going to have a different matchup, and I feel like sometimes that's me. So now we get into open space. I'm locked in with our quarterback, Lee Kirkland, so it's a different type of story, and I understand where he's coming from and where he wants me to find open space. So the fact that I can do that and the fact that that's a gift to me personally, and that's what I take advantage of.
There you go. I've heard Coach Phipps use the term, you used open space, I've heard him use the term a couple times, find the grass, right?
Yes, sir.
Find the grass, find where it's open. Coach talked about your ability to be a leader, not only on the team but on campus and, some of the different campus organizations you're involved in. Talk about your experience at UPIKE as a student and some of those, organizations that you're a member of.
So my experience here at UPIKE was actually, I'm very grateful for everything that I've got. When I first got here in 2021, I became the SGA president, and it was a good year. That's when everything was kind of getting back up and running. So I didn't really do much, but I did a lot behind the scenes and trying to get everything back organized for the next group that was coming in to take over. So that was one thing. I also had a good time being in a social work program, which I wasn't there for a little bit. So I got to understand and also go and help kids and help other people in ways that they don't ever really have those opportunities, and they don't have them perfect times, I'm trying to say. And also, I'm in a group right now called Honest Athletes, where I'm a leader, a group leader. It's where athletes come in or just students around campus, and we just come and talk about anything that's going on, anything that's happening back at home, because as college students, we suffer a lot, and we really don't know. And a lot of people that's at home don't know what's going on. So it's good to be in a safe place, in a safe spot with people around you that's going through the same things.
They can help each other through it. And,
yes, sir.
You guys kind of understand being athletes yourselves where you can help them and talk to them about it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about it off air, but, what's your major and, what are some of your career goals moving forward with that?
I'm majoring in psychology with a minor in social work. I do want to be a therapist, but when I get done with that, I kind of want to open my own thing and be like a motivational speaker. Well, I really just don't want to have kind of rules and set things for me, because I feel like I'm personally sent from God, where certain things that I do that I don't want to be limited in ways that he want me to express my love to the people in the world.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, that was Tyrese Christian with us, and when we come back, we'll have Javion Shepherd, and obviously you guys can tell Tyrese has a bright future ahead of him, not only on the football field, but in life he's going to do special things. So we'll be back here in a few minutes. I am joined by Javion Shepherd. Javion is a senior corner here at UPIKE for us. Javion, talk about your journey to UPIKE. You started off at Contra Costa Community College out in California.
Yes, sir.
We've got a lot of Cali JUCO guys on the team.
Yes, sir.
But we also have a lot of guys from Contra Costa, right?
Yes, sir.
Talk a little bit about the recruiting process and how you ended up at UPIKE.
The recruiting process was actually probably the most faithful recruiting process I've ever been through. So, like you said, I was there for 2 years. Coach Elliott, they were communicating with me the whole time. So, that's really what draw me to coming to this university. And also, I have a few teammates that were, like you said, were from Contra Costa, and especially one of them that was from Kentucky. So that's what made me want to come out here and join the Bears.
There you go. So what's your 2 years in Pikeville been like for you? Obviously being from, Coach Phipps told us you're from the Bay Area.
Yes, sir.
Right? It's a little bit of a culture shock, right? From the Bay Area to the mountains.
Yeah.
Talk about some of those differences.
Really just, the difference is just the mountains, being in the mountains, understanding the mountain life. It's pretty hardcore. I like it. It's somewhere new just to get used to.
Yeah, little different, little change of pace, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's look at, your season. You're first on the team right now in pass breakups with 3. You're fifth on the team in tackles with 11. What's allowed you to really kind of stand out this year and have such a good season in the early going? For
me, it's just kind of taking on that number one matchup, guarding the best receiver every time, every game, and then just inviting that challenge.
There you go. Well, last week you actually had your first career fumble recovery. Talk a little bit about that and the defense's ability to create turnovers so far this year. You guys have been able to be pretty opportunistic in that, right?
Yes, sir. Just for that, really just see ball, get ball. Our coach has been talking about our 1-2 has to be better, and that's our main goal this season. Just getting to the ball, creating more turnovers, seeing what we can do to create opportunities for our offense too.
There you go. Well, you talked a little bit about taking on the challenge of guarding the other team's number one receiver, right? Big challenge for you this week at Faulkner. They've got Cam Bullock, who's got 134 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns so far this year. What are some things that you've seen on film or some things that you guys have been talking about at practice and working on to get ready for that matchup?
Kind of just being prepared for the shots, making sure we're staying in contact, slowing down the progress, making sure that our defensive linemen get there, and then we also do our job on the back end and just no catches, fly zone. No fly zone.
No fly zone?
No fly zone.
Got to shut it down?
Yes, sir.
There you go. Well, let's talk a little bit about academics. The football team's done a great job the last couple of years academically. What's your major?
My major is sports management right now, business administration.
Okay, so you're down in the business department.
Yes, sir.
What are some things that you're looking to do with that degree moving forward?
Hopefully, with that degree, probably hopefully get into coaching, and then also with that, training kids, showing kids about financial wellness, things like that, and just, with the NIL opportunities, showing them how to manage money.
Yeah. The NIL market's kind of taken off, obviously, and done some different things, but, to be able to talk about that and help people and coach them through it, There's definitely a market for that.
Yes, sir.
What's kind of campus life like for you? What are some organizations you're involved in? What do you do outside of football?
Kind of outside of football, I'm just kind of laid back, chill. I'm academics. I'm always ahead of it. Try to get any way that I can understand my material or just get better. And also helping my teammates, classmates with it, the young guys, trying to find any way to make them adapt to this college life.
There you go. Well, what are you looking forward to with this week's matchup with Faulkner? What are some things you're excited about? Obviously getting to go on the road again. But what are some key points for you and kind of the defense looking at this week?
Defense, when the ball's in the air, see ball, get ball. That's our motto. They're kind of a 50-50 team on a pass run, but, when they put the ball in the air, they take shots. So we just want to try to keep that to a minimum, and then when they do take it, maximize the opportunity to get the ball. And then the run game, swarm to the ball, try to get the ball out, strip the ball. That's our motto this week. We got to get turnovers.
Got to get turnovers. There we go. Well, you heard it from Javion. The motto this week is get turnovers. So we will be back after we turn it over to our sponsors.
Achieve your dreams at the University of Pikeville.
All right. Welcome back to the UPIKE Coaches Show. We've got Coach Corey Phipps back with us. Coach had a chance to talk to Tyrese and Javion. You weren't joking. Great guys. Tyrese told us he wants to go into being a motivational speaker, and I think he's ready for it.
Yeah, I think he could sell, ice to an Eskimo, as they say. That's kind of my guy.
Yeah. No, really impressive. We're talking a little bit about Faulkner. What are you kind of looking forward to with this matchup? And obviously, getting on the road, last game for non-conference before we start hitting the AAC part of the schedule.
Yeah, I think it's always a good place to play there, at that stadium and that place. Obviously, like I said, I spent some time there, so it's always really comforting to go home and see some people. I think Coach Gray does a great job there, and he's got some assistants I'm familiar with. There's a gentleman on staff, Randy Ragsdale, who I played for his brother in college, and Randy's been part of my life since I was, about 21 years old. So it's always good to give him a big hug in pregame, and they're kind of on the struggle bus, trying to figure life out, sitting there at 0-2, had a bye week, and they do some things that. Got a quarterback that can run around a little bit, make some athletic plays, so you got to corral him. And they play a lot of man coverage on defense and really thick and big kids on the defensive line. So, basically a whole new coaching staff. I guess they retreaded it all to try to get it going. And then, really the roster's pretty new too. Not many kids in that too deep that were contributors last year. So I think they're still trying to find an offensive identity. But, I think for any non-conference game going into a big game with Reinhardt the next week, we want to sharpen our tools a little bit. We want to get a win for the guys' souls to get them upbeat and rocking and rolling. So, I think that's really is. You just want one more tune-up before you get to conference play.
Yeah. And Faulkner's become kind of a yearly opponent for the Bears, playing them the last 3 years. Had good battles. You guys have, last year a 24-20 win. The year before 36-22. Had some really close games. What do you kind of anticipate the game being like this week? Do you think it's going to be as, you talked about the physicality of Cumberland's, and we saw, some of the athleticism with Georgetown. How do you think the game's kind of come to fruition this week?
Yeah, I think they're going to be physical. I do think they're athletic. I think you got to battle, traveling, 8-10 hours on a bus is tough. I think you also got to battle, it's going to be a little bit warmer and more humid there than typically it is here in the mountains, So I think those are the elements you got to battle is, the travel, the team, the weather, the heat. So, I think the toughest thing to do is win a road football game in all of sports. You take travel party 85, about 65 guys that dress for you, and how do you get them up? How do you get them motivated? How do you get them, to wake up at the hotel in a different surrounding and, figure out what the day is going to look like? And it's a little earlier kick than we're used to, 12:30. They wanted 11. I kind of balked on that because just felt like we were going to be getting up at the wee hours of the morning with that. So, yeah, I think those are the things you got to battle. But I think our kids are mature enough and been through it enough. And last week, I think they're little got a little chip on their shoulder from last week to prove that they're capable to play with anybody, any week, anywhere.
Yeah, and you talked a little bit about the weather, but obviously a 12:30 kickoff. It's supposed to be 92, and you talked about the humidity down in Alabama. Are there anything you guys have been doing this week to kind of prepare for that, or get the kids kind of ready to, where maybe we don't struggle with cramps as much, or kind of the elements that the heat brings on?
It's really tough to prepare for it in the weather we have here, especially practicing in the morning yesterday. So just really encouraging them to hydrate and start their kind of pregame diet and hydration routine a lot earlier in the week, and then pumping them full of fluids on the trip too. We carry a just unbelievable amount of Gatorade and water with us. Got a great corporate sponsor in Pepsi here who supplies Gatorade. So, we try to take care of them in that facet and make sure we feed them good and all those things. So, it's more preventative, at this point, trying to get them hydrated than anything.
There you go. And, we talked a little bit about it. Faulkner, the teams they've played so far this year have been heavy run teams.
Yeah.
Has that made it a little more challenging for you guys as you've broken down film, obviously with us being so pass heavy, kind of trying to break down their coverages and their fronts and how they might line up against us?
Yeah, I think it is. You try to find snaps and sets, or formations that really mimic what you do when you're an offensive team. So I think just finding those snaps when you got teams that are running multiple tight end sets, 2-3 tight ends, and all those things. So it's a little bit of taking the small sample pool you have, and then kind of thinking, well, within their system, what are the maybes, what are the might be's, and working on those and having a game plan for that, and then just being good in-game adjustment coaches and making those adjustments as things go. Now defensively, Chris Elliott and those guys on the staff, Kamari Tinsley and Mike Harris, for them, they've got to do some things that corral a really athletic quarterback who I think was a receiver really previously. So I think that formationally it's not anything out of the ordinary in terms of what they do, but having a good game plan, making sure you got all the run fits and you can put a beat on the quarterback is really what it is, and prevent the big plays. We say they're 0-2 and trying to figure it out, but they played Reinhardt within a point, and that's a good opponent. And they went down to Southeastern, who's really really athletic and physical, and they lost to them 34-0. So.
Yeah, and when we had Javion on, he talked about how they're about a 50-50 split on offense, but when they throw it, they really like to try to take deep shots down the field and try to get those big plays. And he talked about their goal is going to have to be to take away the big plays, not give those up. Yeah,
I think that's exactly right. If we can play assignment football defensively for the first time this year, and that's not a knock on anybody, that's just what we got to do, and we can get back to not turning the football over on offense and continue to be really good in our special teams in terms of our coverage teams and those things, then we should have a pretty good opportunity to get a good win down there.
There you go. Well, Coach, I noticed we've got some special guests here today that you invited. You want to talk a little bit about who we have here at B-Dubs?
Absolutely. We got our admissions team here today with us, and Corey Gannon and his team do a great job of just building us up and helping us get those kids. We go out and find them, but they've got to get them through the process of filing for the FAFSA and get all their academics and transcripts in. And you would not believe just how difficult the era it is right now in higher education in terms of the admissions process, and to be really strong in our enrollment numbers when many of our competitors are struggling is just it's tough. And Corey and his team have done just an outstanding job in terms of those things. And then we've got a few of our different position groups here. We got our running backs, we got our defensive backs. We typically invite whatever guys are speaking, their position group gets to come. So, just once again, we got our athletic training over here. Lauren Curley and Jeff Curley, who do a great job. Got Jake Sokol, an alum who's a BSN rep. He peddles all the Nike stuff to us. So him and Justin Lamb keep us suited and booted. So we appreciate that in athletics. And we just appreciate all our corporate sponsors too, but especially B-Dubs here today who takes care of us. And we really appreciate Pike TV, who does an outstanding job in terms of the production of our live stream events and this coaching show weekly.
There you go. Well, it takes an army, and we've got an army of corporate sponsors and people that we can work with. So, we're excited to see the Bears kick off at 12:30 Central Time on Saturday. That'll be a 1:30 Eastern Time tip. Make sure you look at UPIKE Athletics Facebook and Twitter feeds to get the stream for that game and cheer on the Bears.
Absolutely. Brad, I'll forgive you for the tip. It's a kick in football, you old basketball joker.
My bad. But we'll see you at 12:30 Central on Saturday for our kickoff. How's that?
There we go, babe.
All right. Thank you for tuning in.